Now Dubai is attracting the top talent. Now Dubai is saying, hey, look, guys, come over here. We'll give you everything that London gives you and then some. What I didn't recognize then as a young partner in the City of London law firm was how stressful professional jobs are. We treat stress as an everyday part of our life. US has not woken up to digital assets, nowhere near. When the US wakes up and starts getting involved in this area, that's when we'll see the impact of digital assets. I always tell clients, don't be scared about setting up in UAE because your current advisors can pretty much help you once we've set you up. The good thing about people like yourself is you're highly trained, you've worked within this very competitive area. The service you provide will be unmatched for your clients wherever they are.
Hello and welcome to this episode of SRLV, Not Just a Number. Today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Tom Keya. He's the CEO and legal consultant at Ruthberg LLC, or Ruthbergs. He's also a bit of a mental health champion. Welcome to the show, Tom.
It's great to be here, Kieron. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. But what we want to know is how did you end up in UAE? And tell us a bit about your story.
Sure. Yeah, I think like the first big batch of Brits, I ended up in UAE during COVID.
Okay.
Effectively, what happened was I went to visit my brother, and then Dubai went on the red list. And the natural thing for me to do then was to set up my own practice. And that's basically what happened. The reality of it was, of course, at that time, there was already... So my practice focuses on family offices and private equity and funds, fundamentally. So at the time, there was already a shift towards the UAE. Okay. And so a lot of my clients...
So you trained as a lawyer?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and I understand you spent a bit of time in the US?
In New York, as well as London and Dubai. But the key driving force to me to UAE was a lot of my clients were moving there. So a lot of people were going towards the UAE. And then I thought to myself, look, let's go see what the situation is. And then, red list, and you sort of think to yourself, okay, well, look, this was a sign for me to stay. And so I stayed, and we founded this sort of practice that focused basically on the client base that I mentioned. And I've not really looked back since. And the reason why I have not looked back since is because obviously the world has been quite turbulent while the UAE has been very, very stable. So that's probably the reason why a lot of people have moved there and they're sort of staying there.
Okay. And can you tell me about what's making these clients of yours move out, well, perhaps out of the UK, out of...
Sure. I mean, look,
Europe to the Middle East region. I'm
a student of history, and migration happens all the time, and there is a myriad of reasons why people want to move. Mm-hmm. I think the instability. So Europe always looked for UK for stability because Europe fundamentally is quite left leaning. It's always on the sort of left side of left, if not socialist. And UK has always been the champion of capitalism. London is the capitalist society, and so. I think steadily the policies in the UK began to resemble more continental European policies rather than, more American-esque policies. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these wealthy people basically said, look, we need to go to the nearest capitalist society that we can find. And that happens to be, quite ironically, now in the Middle East, which you would never have said 10 years ago. But now more and more people are seeing it this way. As to what drives them, obviously the number one reason is taxes.
Tax, yeah. Because as we know, no personal tax in
no
Dubai.
Income tax, no personal tax.
No capital gains tax.
No
inheritance tax.
None of those things. So, and also, like, a lot of people are like, well, why don't people go to Monaco, or why don't people go to Switzerland? And I can cover why this client base is not doing that. Obviously, a lot of people are going to Italy because you get to pay 200,000 euros and live there happily. Yeah. But this particular client base, why they're not doing it is because fundamentally Dubai has built an infrastructure to be another London or New York. That's what UAE and Abu Dhabi in particular have been driving forward. Like, we're not an offshore jurisdiction like Monaco. We're not an offshore jurisdiction like the Cayman Islands. We are a proper city ready to challenge everyone for that title. So in the past,
with a decent lifestyle.
With a decent lifestyle. In the past, I'm sure me and you would both agree, you had to be good enough to work in London. You had to be good enough to work in New York.
Yeah.
Now cities are competing for you. We're good enough for you. Come to us. In the past, you didn't have the options you do. So now people are like, look, I get the sun, I get good quality restaurants.
Yeah, I must apologise. It's really rainy here today in London, and Tom, you arrived absolutely soaked.
I wasn't prepared.
You weren't prepared. You've been living in the sun too long.
Way too long. I'm getting rusty, but I also missed the rain, so it was good to get it all.
A bit of a taste of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll get fed up with it after a few days, but
I'm sure I will. But yeah, so I think that lifestyle, the sun, good quality restaurants, good quality food, great schools, and now talent. In the past, again, I would say it used to be that maybe you weren't amazing, and that's why you went abroad. Yeah. Now Dubai is attracting the top talent. Now Dubai is saying, hey, look, guys, come over here. We'll give you everything that London gives you and then some. And I think for professionals, the quality of housing is better. You get an apartment for the price you pay for a studio here. You get a 3-bedroom apartment with a gym, sea views. I mean, it's unbelievable what you can get.
Swimming pool
and everything. So that's what it gives you. Obviously, tax-free income. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, you probably save 40% default. When you move to the UAE. You get to see a doctor within 11 seconds. Like you go to the clinic, doctor's ready to go see them. I mean, this is something I wasn't used to.
I was going to ask about healthcare. What's the system like there?
So it's private insurance only, but most employers pay for your insurance. If not, you will pay for your own insurance. Okay. I mean, it's not that expensive. But the efficacy of healthcare there is terrifying, because I usually am used to going to the hospital, waiting 4 hours, then some nurse who's overworked and stressed. Because here you get to see the consultant surgeon, the leading authority on heart, within 15 seconds of going there because you were a little bit stressed. So that side is obviously unbelievable. For family offices and funds, obviously you get to benefit from DFSA's regulatory framework and ADGM's regulatory framework, as well as in DIFC and ADGM common law, widely understood, no complexities there.
Can we perhaps drill down a little bit on that free zones?
Yes.
And from what I understand, I've discussed this a lot of times, but people don't understand that there are so many different free zones and different areas.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So the UAE has, I think, and it's just from the top of my head, 52 free zones. Okay, so you have two systems. If you want to be super technical, there is offshore in UAE, free zones, and mainland. Mainland is basically anything that's not a free zone. And, that's most of Dubai. Most areas of Dubai are basically mainland. So if you're going to a restaurant, you're very likely going to it in the mainland. And if you open a business in the mainland, you're going to be, required to pay, minimal taxes. I think it's 9%, but after you take all the write-ups, it's around 1 or 2%.
Okay.
And that's governed by UAE law, which itself was written by an Egyptian academic. So it's sort of UAE-inspired Egyptian law. That's what UAE's mainland law is based on. And if you do contracts in the mainland, you end up in the local courts, for which you will need local advocates. By local, I mean Emirati advocates. So in the UK, if you're a good enough lawyer, you can be regulated and go to court. In the UAE, that's not the case. It's a job reserved for Emiratis. So that's how mainland looks like. But you wouldn't be able to visually tell apart what's a mainland and free zone. Now, free zones are traditionally tax-free areas. And in the past, if you wanted to open a business in the mainland, you needed a local partner. You don't anymore. And that was the main distinguishing factor between mainland and free zone, because with free zones, you can own it 100%. It's yours. There is no requirement for a local partner. Now, of the free zones, they're all pretty much well managed throughout the UAE, but two sisters, let's call them, stand out dramatically from the others.
Okay.
And that is the Dubai International Financial Center.
The famous DIFC.
Exactly. And it's regulated by the DFSA, which is an offshoot of FCA, you can call it.
Okay.
And then you have the Abu Dhabi Global Markets, which itself is regulated very similarly FCA style.
Yeah.
What separates them? One of them is in Abu Dhabi, the other one's in Dubai.
Yeah.
In practice, they both look very similar. Your contracts are governed by common law.
Yeah.
You often get British KCs or judges sitting in those courts, which means that there is no fear of, uncertainty about what the case outcome is going to look like.
So if there's a dispute and you've set up your business in DIFC, for example,
Yeah.
it would look fairly similar to the English court system.
Absolutely. Same letter before action, hearings, this, that, all similar. In fact, now the UAE has rolled out DIFC courts to all of UAE. So even if your business is not in DIFC, you can still be governed by DIFC courts.
Okay. So as long as your document's written
precisely
mentioning that law.
Precisely. As long as your jurisdiction is DIFC courts, you're okay. So in that regard, these two stand out also because they don't let anyone in. You have to be very compliant with laws and regulations, and they hold it to a very high standard. The idea being that if you're registered in DIFC or the ADGM, you're as regulated and as proper, and your accounting and auditing is as clean as an English company in Companies House here in the UK.
Yeah.
What that obviously has done is it's attracted very good quality businesses. So, DIFC to me looks like Mayfair meets City of London. So you have Goldman Sachs there, and also you have the Arts Club, and you have, all these wonderful F&Bs. It's a wonderful sort of area to operate. Again, ADGM and DIFC stand out because you can actually walk around there. There's a lot of infrastructure for walking from one business to the other, whereas in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, you usually have to drive from one place to the other. These places have really contained a lot of businesses and restaurants and entertainment centers together. So you can actually spend your entire time in DIFC. So it's almost like saying, I work and live in the City of London.
Okay. And can you tell us maybe a little bit about misconceptions that a lot of people back in the UK have about the legal system or the law or the cultural practices in the Emirates? Because you hear a lot in the media, you hear a lot down the pub.
Yes.
A lot of it, I'm very sure, isn't true.
Yeah. I mean, the best way to describe it is let's read about the misconceptions of the UK. The UK is either a bunch of posh people drinking tea or a bunch of youths stabbing each other in the street, right? And we know, both of us, that's just not true. UK is a wonderful, diverse, kind, welcoming city. I'd say the biggest misconception I've found personally about Emiratis is how unbelievably friendly they are. They may come across as a closed society, but that's only because a lot of them are shy. So as soon as you approach them, you end up getting invitations to their houses. They're very welcoming. And the leadership has basically said, look, we're a tiny little country. We have a very small population. Every expat that's in the country is benefiting us in one way or the other. And because they have very strong immigration protocols, you can't be a useless person in the UAE. That just can't exist. So they view you as someone who's contributing to the greatness of their country. So the first thing I would say is it's a super friendly society. The people, Emiratis, are incredibly friendly. They're not scary. Oh my God, they might chop my hands off. No, they're very, very nice. Most of them educated in the UK or US and kind. The second misconception is that the society is entirely Arab. 10% of UAE is made up of Emiratis. 90% are expats. That's a huge figure to think about, and I think that really opens your eyes to it. The third one is that it's an expensive place. I think if you're used to eating in Mayfair and only having fine dining, then everything is expensive. But if you're a normal person, wanting to save money, live a good life, there's plenty of affordable restaurants and entertainment venues, and copious amounts of free stuff that's happening. It's not an expensive place. People make it expensive.
So we're talking about events, festivals.
Yeah. Like Coldplay tickets are like £15. Like it's not like,
okay. I'm not a Coldplay fan, but that sounds like a good deal.
Exactly.
I might go for £15.
You're more into, I suppose, R&B and hip hop, I imagine.
No, I'm actually into heavy metal.
Oh, but that makes sense. So what used to happen was, and many of them are my friends, so no disrespect to them. But what would happen is a recruitment agent would come to Dubai. Suddenly he's making commissions without having to pay taxes. And what does he do? Instead of save that money, he buys himself a Ferrari, then rents himself a penthouse. And lo and behold, he leaves Dubai with debts. Right? So live that life and you won't succeed anywhere in the world. But be sensible and say, look, I'm here to save money. I'm here to work. And that would change. The fourth thing relates back to what I just said is a lot of people now want to stay in UAE. So gone are the days where, look, I'm going to go to UAE for 3 years, save some money, come back to the UK. Now a lot of people are like, no, but this is good. This is great. The culture allows me to spend my summers in the UK, spend Christmas in the UK, The rest, I don't want to be there anyway. so it's a very comfortable place to live and settle. In terms of the legal system, the biggest shock I think people always get is when I say to them, look, you can have common law in your contracts. So what do you mean? I can speak English in it? Yes, you can. My current accountants in the UK can still do my work for me? Yes, they can. Absolutely, they can. Oh, so my current lawyers can act for me? Absolutely. Will I understand everything? Absolutely. Is the process going to be logical? Yes. When they hear that, suddenly things change because it's no longer, I'm in Switzerland dealing with, respectfully archaic Swiss law in a different language. I'm now in England, but in the Middle East. And that's a welcoming, I think, thing.
Yeah, that's probably, well, let's maybe talk about, and I suppose we're sort of touching on this kind of thing. What about startups? Yes. What about the bureaucracy? It's got a reputation in the Emirates of being very business friendly.
Yes.
So can you tell me a bit more? What's your experience? And also you're someone who set up a business yourself.
Yeah. There is the surface and then there's reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So the surface, absolutely, it is super easy to get going. You need a bit of cash because in the UK, I think, again, you would know this better than me. I think when you want to open a company, just pay a small fee and you've got your company open.
Very easy.
In Dubai, the cheapest company license you can get is like $10,000. So that's the first thing I think that will step out. The second thing is, the administration can be very archaic. So like if you say to me, Tom, I've got this thing in Dubai, can you handle it for me? It's not a letter between you and me. I have to get a power of attorney from you stamped and sealed by a notary. So those things just creep out of nowhere and surprise people. But in terms of the startup...
But I suppose if you've got advice,
you'll be fine.
You won't go wrong.
Totally. Which is why I keep telling people...
Good advice.
Yeah, I keep telling people, look, let me handle it. Trust me, it'll be so much easier. I know it's self-serving because I'll make money handling it.
Yeah.
But you do it yourself, you pull your hair out. And inevitably, they do it themselves, then they come back to me. I've never had a situation where a client says, look, I'll handle it myself. And then didn't come back to me saying, okay, you know what, you just take it over. But going back to the startup point you said, DIFC has the Innovation Hub. And over there, you can actually open a company for as little as $3,000. If your business meets the criteria of the Innovation Hub, which is, a fintech or a business that is seen to be, helping society as a whole. And the same with ADGM, they have Innovation One, similar sort of, again, setup. The two, run similar things. And what happens in those centers is when you open up, suddenly your gateway to investors opens up because they really, the DIFC and ADGM really back you. If there's something interesting about your business, they take you on road shows with them. They share your business with other people, etc., which is something very proactive from a government. Here, I mean, again, if you have a fintech, you need to build your network. You need to go and sell. I feel like in DIFC, ADGM, they take some of that responsibility themselves, which is really welcoming. And again, because it's such a small society, if you know one person, you know everyone. And if your business is good, you have integrity, you really are, intending to do something great with your business, they're behind you all the way. Okay. And then the cost of staff is actually quite low in terms of support services.
Okay, yeah.
So we have access to obviously India, the CIS countries for that back office programming and all that jazz. So you get amazing services for minimal prices.
Okay, and I know you're going to say yes, but what about wealthy families who are moving, who are maybe they've already made their money, they're multimillionaires. Yeah, maybe they might have a family office or they're thinking about one. So
that's basically my 50% of what I do. That's running through. So we often say family offices are still used to the trust structure. Mm-hmm. Trust structure certainly within the UAE is done. You set up a foundation. Yeah. And a foundation is an orphan structure. It doesn't have beneficiaries. It just has 2 council members and some other roles that we don't need to get into. But fundamentally, once you've set that up, you get benefit from DIFC's 50-year guarantee, no taxable income via various different regulations.
So a very good way to protect.
It's a great way to
protect family wealth for generations.
And there is no inheritance tax, so it means that you can just pass on the foundation to the next generation. So that part of moving with the family office is proving to be very useful. DIFCs, in the FATF, green list now. So it means that if you're bringing your family office to the UAE and you're deploying your assets globally, you no longer have a banking problem neither. So family offices like it for three reasons. Obviously, tax-free is the key driving factor.
Key, yeah.
The second one is lifestyle. One, it's got the largest, I think, private jet airport on the planet, but also the Emirates Airlines is unbelievable. So is Etihad. So you have access to the whole world from where you are. And especially people who like to travel, Africa's 3-4 hours away, India's 2 hours away, China's like 5 hours away. Like everything's so close that it feels like the center of the world for what they're doing. And I think the other thing that's great about it is obviously the lifestyle. There is no way that a restaurant will open in London that's not great that won't open in Dubai literally a week after.
Wow.
So that part is taken care of.
Okay, that's excellent. If you don't mind, maybe we can talk about you. I've looked you up a little bit on the internet, and you spend a lot of your time helping with mental health.
Yes.
Raising awareness, being a champion for it.
Yeah.
And I guess in Dubai, it's a little bit like London. It's a work hard culture.
Yeah.
It's you might have moved away from Europe and you're in a different time zone to your friends and family. Yeah. Can you share some experiences relating to that? And what about your staff who are in your office?
Definitely. So I always say to people, the first 6 months of moving countries is the hardest. Mm-hmm. And you're in survival mode. You miss all your friends. That's something you will definitely feel. You miss your former lifestyle because Dubai on the surface looks very similar to London. Once you go a little bit deeper, things are a bit different.
Yeah.
I love my gym here. I walk to it. And then after that, I have my coffee shop opposite the road. I walk to that. It's not the same in Dubai. Your favorite gym is going to be like a 20-minute drive this way, and then your favorite coffee shop is a 60-minute drive that way. And sometimes the people you meet can be transient, so you get to meet people, and then suddenly they're off back home, or because there isn't as many people as there are in London, you sort of miss that energy that London has. Dubai has a lot of energy, and I don't want to take that away from it, but you miss that vibe London has. You're right. It is a work hard city. It's not a chill city. It's a very bad work hard city, like London. And my experience with mental health probably occurred in 2017, when I had a full on mental health breakdown. And I think that what I didn't recognize then as a young partner in a City of London law firm was how stressful professional jobs are. I mean, you're in finance. I'm in law. We treat stress as an everyday part of our life. And sometimes we accept anxiety as an everyday part of our life because it's just normal. That's what people do. We don't see that from our client side. Actually, they have stressful periods, but actually most of the time people in business are pretty happy. I'm going to go away for 2 months. I just closed the property deal. I'm relaxing. I'm stressed about getting the next deal, but that's fine. For us, because there is the regulatory framework. Oh my God, I could lose my license and lose absolutely everything. And then on top of that, it's my day-to-day, politics within my own law firm or finance as I'm trying to climb up, keep my position.
So we're an accountancy firm, and we've got managing the other 23 partners in our firm is part of the fun and games, but it can get stressful.
And part of your stress isn't just you and keeping your practice and building up your client base and having all that money in that client base. It's what if one of my partners in another department does something silly and the whole firm suffers as a result? Not that you would, but I'm saying these are added stresses that we don't notice ourselves. We have no idea of it until it's too late.
Yeah.
And with me, what happened was I'd contained so much stress. I was like super high billing fee earner, loads of clients, and I made mistakes. But I didn't recognize those mistakes, and they were part of my mental health process. And then suddenly I had a breakdown, and I was like, oh my God, like, what have I done with my life? And, it took a psychiatrist to tell me you have like chronic anxiety. You're so past it that, we have like a year's worth of work to do just to get you back to a place where I can even talk to you. And, after that, it was cognitive behavioral therapy, traditional therapy, and psychiatry before I got myself back on my feet. And then I realized every single thing that I did was avoidable. It wasn't unavoidable. It wasn't inevitable. Every single aspect that led to that was completely avoidable. if I had some basic training on mental health, I'm not talking about the crap you get normally. It's like, if you're stressed, try and prioritize the most important thing first. And then it's like, not that. It's to actually say, if you wake up with heart palpitations, okay, now's the time to stop. Rest. The world's not going to be over. You've got this big job ahead of you. It's going to be so great, not worth it. Wait, another one will come along. Relax. Don't kill yourself for it. And so I went on this campaign where I was like, there is no way I'm going to let someone go through what I went through. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to create this cutesy work environment, but I'm like, guys, come in whenever you can, leave whenever you can. Oh God, you look a bit stressed, drop it. No, it's more, I'm going to create mental health champions. It's if you're super anxious and you're going through something and you're still able to turn up, my God, you're strong. Because other people probably haven't gone through depression and anxiety. I think only 1 in 4 people are impacted by it. So at any given time, you're within the minority of fighting your war before you get to the office. So then it's, okay, now that I've got this disadvantage, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not, I'm going to go hide in a corner. That doesn't work. It's not, I'm going to tell everyone, hey, feel sorry for me. That doesn't work. No one likes, a miserable person at a party. Hey, man, how are you? Do you want another drink? No, I'm sad. No one wants that. So, okay, look, let's give you the tools and skill sets to do that. And for us, we found 3 things. Sports to be categorically important.
Sports, so prioritizing exercise.
Absolutely. So as a firm, it's part of our policy. We don't hire people who don't like to engage in sports. And if you join the firm, you're going to be doing sports. And you're going to hear me asking everyone to do sports on a regular basis. And
I suppose this goes back a little bit and ties in with the lifestyle in Dubai. 100%. You're able to live an outdoor life,
totally.
I suppose.
Totally.
So what kind of talks? What sports are we talking about?
Everything.
Okay.
Paddle is now Dubai's number 1 sport.
Yeah,
so everyone's
paddle.
playing paddle. It's become to a stage where I'm actually irritated by it because it's now like part of people's characteristic. Hey, what do you do? Oh, I play paddle. I'm a lawyer. It's just like, stop it. Like, just put it away. Paddle and matcha. Like get out of here. So paddle, swimming, kite surfing, all of that jazz. But there is more gyms than you can count, and every single gym is a super gym. Like, most of the gyms you go to, there's like 600 the toys you can play with, and so on and so forth. But also Sheikh Hamdan, so the Crown Prince of Dubai.
Yes.
He's constantly throwing sports challenges. He's constantly like, hey, we're going to do a Dubai walk. We're going to do a Dubai run. We're going to do Dubai this. We're going to do Dubai that. And it's constantly encouraging people to take part in these challenges. So, they have the Burj to Burj, which is Burj Al Arab to Burj Khalifa. And that's like a half marathon. And, they press that.
That's quite far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just having a think. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I don't fancy doing that. That seems quite tough.
It's so much fun because the entire city takes part. You will feel left out not taking part in it. It really, these sports events take over the city, and that's something we encourage in our firm. Like the guys know in the office, like I have my gym time 4 times a week, and I'm completely inaccessible then, and I want you guys to be the same. So a lot of people take on Pilates as well. That seems to be like a very popular thing. I think certainly more men should take part because it really helps with your core. Men don't do that much Pilates, but they should. So there is sports activities in every corner. So ICD Brookfield Place, where my office is, there is 6 fitness centers in one building. Right? That should give you an indication for one single building to have that many fitness centers, and there is a demand for it. So I think that's Dubai really helps on that front. And I think London's behind on that. I think we should prioritize sports. The second thing we prioritize is obviously therapy.
Okay.
I tell my team, look, if you need to see a therapist, we'll pay for it. But see them, talk to people, and let's get you back. The good news is if you have private health insurance in UAE, so usually your therapy is covered by that anyway. So that's covered. The third thing is obviously work-life balance. And I always tell my team, look...
Easier said than done sometimes because you've got such a hustle culture in Dubai.
Yeah, easier said than done, 100%. The difficult thing about work-life balance in Dubai is the worst day you're going to have in Dubai starts with a beautiful sun and ends with a beautiful sunset. Okay, you could wake up and get fired and have a car crash in the middle of your day as you're coming back from being fired, and you're seeing the most beautiful sunset. So it's very hard to feel tired in Dubai, because of the sun factor.
Yeah.
But then you realize it too late when you're like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed. I'm so exhausted. But we say that, and a lot of my team members know this. I'm probably the most aggressive person at looking at people saying, look, you just go home. rest.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a business case for it. I don't want to work with a bunch of burnt out people. That's just not conducive to a good business environment.
They'll make more mistakes because they're just so tired. They're knackered.
As I did, so I know what that attitude leads to.
Yeah.
And
it's tough in professional services because we typically, historically anyway, always bill by the hour,
yes.
which encourages really long hours.
Yes, exactly. Long hours. And there is this sort of mutual understanding between you and the clients that because we're in professional services, our competition is always around the corner. So if we say no, they will say yes. And mentally, you can go to Sainsbury's and try and get a steak. If they don't have it, you'll switch to Waitrose.
Yeah.
And next time you'll start at Waitrose before you go back to Sainsbury's. And that's in professional services. Can you guys get this done by next week? Oh, sorry, we're a little bit full. Okay, let's go to the other guys. And then they get first dibs before you work your ass off to be able to get.
Yeah.
So that for professional services, that's what you have to face. But for me, I always say this: the hidden undercurrent of professional services that we don't pay attention to is the regulation aspect. That, it's very common for our trade papers to say, oh, this accountant has been struck off for this and that. That psychologically does something to you that you don't pick up on it straight away. But as soon as you make a very basic, minimal, pointless error, that story comes straight to your head. Oh my God, am I going to be struck off over this because there's such a small mistake? That is inherent. And for lawyers in particular, if you have a drunken night out and you do something stupid, you could lose your license because you're a lawyer inside and outside of the office, which is, again, added stress. So you've got, I need to climb through the corporate ladder. I need to become a partner. I need to build a practice. I need to be regulatory clean all the time. And I need to manage my clients. On top of that, family, children, and everything else. It's horrible. But with the right tools, you can make it easier. And it can be a very rewarding profession because, again, in professional services, we get to meet such unbelievable people, which is so inspiring.
Am I right in thinking you started an organization that deals with mental health?
So we have a cooperative in Dubai,
okay,
where we basically go around talking to people. It's called Soulh Tech.
Okay.
And Soulh, SOULH. And what Soulh is that soul means obviously your soul. In Persian, it means peace.
Okay.
So I thought the two words were quite...
Yeah, that's quite neat,
nice,
isn't it?
It was originally a fintech that I converted into a cooperative. And the whole idea behind this is we go and analyze businesses and check out their mental health levels and then give them a 3-colored response. So you're either a green, in which case your team is fine. You're either yellow, in which case your team is on the edge. And red, in which case your team is in trouble.
It's crisis mode, isn't it?
Yeah. And also you get to find out... And I hate this term, but there's no better term right now. But we can call it toxic or problem people within organizations. So if you have a team leader and everyone who goes to that team leader ends up being red, then you know the problem isn't the rest of the stuff. It's that specific individual that's causing it. And we're not saying fire that person, but train them to treat staff better. Yeah. But that started as a fintech because we were growing around just developing the software to do it.
Okay.
The problem with doing it as a software is people are never honest. So the whole idea was, can we get feedback from you as to how you're finding things? And their view was, as soon as I log into the system and say my manager made me feel like crap, it'll be traced back to me.
Yeah.
And there was no way we could convince people of the confidential nature of this software. So we changed it to a cooperative where we basically said, look, we're effectively a semi-charitable organization. And we do these surveys once and report back once. So employees were much more conducive to telling us the truth.
Okay. Yeah, I did read this thing in the newspaper, and it was about your line manager.
Yes.
Actually, having a bad line manager is as stressful and as bad for your mental health as having a bad spouse.
Yes, 100%.
Which is absolutely nuts because you choose your spouse, but you don't choose your line manager.
You don't. And again, I'm of the age where alcohol played a huge part in my supervising partner's, approach to business development.
Yes.
But I mean, that was just he was not unique in the way he did things. It was very normal in the market. So, if I say to people like, yeah, I had like 6 drinks at lunchtime, I'm back. that would never be accepted today. And that was an everyday thing that I was facing in my previous time. And well, obviously alcohol leads to two things, either happiness or aggression. It's never, hey, I'm calm, I'm going to sit down and sleep in a corner, especially when you go back to work. So yeah, I mean, that can damage you almost irreparably, which is again why you have to find the problem line managers and fix it at the roots.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to do with this cooperative.
Okay. And maybe if we move a little bit back to work type of things,
Sure.
I understand you do a little bit of work with blockchain and crypto related things.
Yeah. So we love properly managed businesses. We love it. We're very conservative on who we pick up, but we love conservatively and properly managed businesses. So we like people who are at, for example, I was a senior director at JP Morgan and now I've set up my own blockchain business. I'm a senior director at Goldman Sachs and now I've set up my own crypto exchange and so on and so forth. We love people like that. And
if I understand correctly, the Emirates are an absolutely brilliant place for that.
Phenomenal place. So
because the UK, we're lagging behind.
Yeah, and the reason for that is again in who the regulators are. Mm. I often think regulators at their best are experienced practitioners, like a senior partner at your firm, basically saying, "Hey, look, I've done this job for a very long time, and I know the good way and the bad way to do things. So I am now going to take my place as part of my retirement, let's say, and work for a regulator in finance. And I can teach them about things that work and things that don't work. But I also have a very good detailed experience of day-to-day life as a practitioner. In the UK, regulation has become a full-time job. So you can go to university, study regulation.
Oh, yeah. The risk department is the fastest growing in any large organization.
Precisely. So great. Now I have someone who's never done a single day's work telling me what's the best practice of how to do that work. So then you imagine going to someone like this and saying, hey, we've got like digital assets. First, they have to understand what it is. They don't get it. They don't understand it. Whereas UAE, what they've done is they've taken all the best practitioners in the UK and said, come and regulate us. So now you've got practitioners regulating, not regulators regulating. So VARA, which is the regulator for digital assets in the UAE, now has these gigantic crypto businesses like Binance in it, and as well as a whole host of blockchain related businesses that are going through, and asset managers as well. And I think US hasn't. A lot of people see crypto bros on YouTube. US has not woken up to digital assets, nowhere near. And most asset managers in the US are still in the S&P 500 or ETF, tracker funds, and so on and so forth. When the US wakes up and starts getting involved in this area, that's when we'll see the impact of digital assets. Right now, countries like Dubai, they're building basic infrastructure. They're basically saying this is a safe place to do business, to trade, etc. When the US wakes up, the market is going to jump up 600%. And that's where the exciting thing's going to be. But UAE does help you regulate it. They do help you manage it. It is a complicated area of law.
It is a complicated area. And
it's incredibly complicated.
And it's complicated more in the UK because the tax authorities, the government don't understand it and don't like it. But it seems like a completely different landscape.
The approach is much more positive and much more welcoming. And as I said, the innovation hub in DIFC really loves the infrastructure side. They don't regulate crypto businesses, but they love the infrastructure.
Yeah.
DMCC, another great free zone for digital assets, really love setting these things up, and they're very welcoming towards it. And they've got measures in place to avoid fraud, which is always the biggest worry about a new asset class.
Yeah.
But I think more people in the UAE accept that this is a thing. This is something that's come to stay rather than just a passing fancy. And Europe is lagging very, very far behind. I think the biggest thing you see, in fact, when you move to the Middle East, is how far behind Europe is today of everything. And that's terrifying. So I'm not including London into that context. But when you look at how far UAE is going ahead with regulating these things and pushing them through, how far US is, with their different asset classes, you just sort of think, wow, Europe is stuck on regulating things. We really need to push ahead as much as we can. And there's a danger that UK is going to go more towards that attitude rather than the US or UAE one. And that's terrifying because that will impact UK's viability.
Okay.
The more exciting thing for me is how popular London is in the UAE. So they call London
Okay.
the seventh Emirate or the sixth Emirate, something like that. And expats.
We've got 7 Emirates, so it must be the
eighth.
It must be the eighth.
Exactly,
the
the eighth
one.
Emirate. The eighth Emirate and also London Borough of Dubai. So I think there is unbelievable opportunities between UK and UAE to really do wonderful things together. The relationship Dubai in particular has with the UK is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I've got 8 clients at the moment on their way to Dubai.
Yeah,
and some of them are British. It's not just people affected by the big non-dom tax rule changes that came in April. British people are suddenly saying, "Well, I might be selling my business.
Yeah,
I don't want to pay all this tax."
Yeah, I mean, look, 3 major things are happening at the same time. One, the great wealth transfer is happening, where the old guard are handing over to millennials.
Yes,
and millennials are no longer as attached to any particular country.
Yeah, they don't have the affinity for the UK that their parents did.
Yeah, so that's number one. Number two, we've seen certainly again, I'm in Dubai, so I'm seeing it from that angle. The largest tax on wealthy people in the UK. I'm seeing that because to me, from where I'm standing in Dubai, where I see zero taxes doing such wonderful things to the economy and country. I mean, I understand you can't compare a country of, effectively, although there's 10 million people in UAE, there's only like 1 million locals, and it's an oil-rich country. So it's very rich.
It's a completely different system.
Yeah. So, but I'm seeing what happens when you say, let markets decide. Mm-hmm. Let us be practical on regulation. Let us be low on taxes, and let the markets power everything through. That's right. And I'm seeing it firsthand. And what I see in the UK is, look, how much are we raising money from some of the things that we're doing? Probably minuscule amounts, but are we going to lose dramatically a huge amount of potential wealth? Yes. And one thing that should probably be covered in your next episode is the dynamic of seeing English people leave the UK. So we're not just talking about British people. I'm a Brit, but we're talking about English aristocracy or the English old guard or the English upper middle class, basically saying, hold on, this inheritance tax thing is coming and I'm going to go. And
whereas they've been affected on, these non-dom changes are, if they come out of the UK for 10 years, have non-UK assets, they're outside of inheritance tax. Yeah. And also these landed families, they always used to rely on agricultural property relief.
Yes.
The benefit of that is being eroded April 2026. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it's a strange thing to see. You talked about those landed aristocracies. I'm seeing British farmers move to the UAE. You would never imagine.
You would have never imagined it. They like the rolling hills and the green countryside. They're moving to the desert.
They're moving completely to the desert, and UAE again, ever pragmatic, ever trying to think, and now they're coming up with a new area that basically effectively almost replicates what these guys are effectively missing, because they just want as many of these guys there as possible. UAE's view is, if you're talented, we'll make our place workable for you. If you're wealthy, we'll make it work for you. If you're poor, we'll still make it work for you if you want to make money. That's their attitude. So the dynamic I'm seeing is, I wonder how the UK will look like in 20 years. Not just what the business environment's going to look like, but once these guys sell their farms, are they selling it to other farmers? Probably not. What's the countryside going to look like when these guys leave? And that's something that should be considered in a wider context.
I have no idea. I'd never really thought about it before. Yeah. Very interesting.
And they are moving. Some of them are moving to obviously Italy, some of them to Portugal, some of them. Very few people, again, I'm hearing about moving to Switzerland, and we love Switzerland. So
I'm finding Greece and Italy are kind of popular, but Dubai's, the UAE is by far the one we're getting most conversations about. Yeah.
So to round it off, I think definitely come and visit you. I mean, you've visited many times.
Oh yeah, I come, and I've got clients there, so I can do a cheeky business trip.
Yeah, and I think I always tell clients, don't be scared about setting up in UAE, because your current advisors can pretty much help you once we've set you up.
Yeah.
The the good thing about people like yourself is you're highly trained. You worked within this very competitive area of London, and so that the service you provide will be unmatched for your clients wherever they are. So how good is it that you can continue providing your services while they're in a different country, and they don't have to worry about, oh my God, now I have to go through a whole panel and whole relationships. I think that's the best thing about it.
Okay, brilliant.
Good.
Well, thank you very, very much for being here. I'm sorry about the weather.
No, it's all right. I see it as, an ironic amount of rain. It's something I see all the time. Perfect.
Well, thank you again, and
thank you for having me.
It's been a real pleasure.
Definitely, it's my pleasure.